Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Gareth. For many of you, your favourite show of the week. It is Talking Tactics. Make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. We are that close now to 3,600. I think we're about 15 away, so that'd be amazing if we could do that today. And get your comments in the chat. We're obviously going to reflect on the 4-1 defeat to Manchester City and go into a little bit more detail about it. We had the international break. We had the victory against Wolves. It's just a shame that we're reflecting on a defeat. But Gareth, as always, great to have you. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's one of those sort of games that I don't think many teams expect to go to the Etihad and get anything. So we was a bit surprised at the selection, maybe. We were surprised at the result, probably not.
Exactly. And I did my instant reaction after the game, and I was a bit conflicted. I think I said it on my Twitter post. I think for 60 minutes we more than competed, and it was, in a lot of ways, it was good to see some of the young players get some opportunity and show that they can compete as well, because I think that's going to be needed. But on the other hand, I was disappointed with some of the mistakes that were made, and obviously, just the I guess some of the manner of the defeat. It was one of those. But like you've just said there, even if we'd had a full strength side out, Man City can do that to anybody. And also the fact that they had the substitutions to make. Had we got it back to 2-2 or even took the lead, they'd have just brought Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland down anyway. So it was one of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, you always thought it was going to be 4-1, whatever, didn't you? Sort of. I think it was a shame. I think you're right. I think they played well for 60 minutes, and I think like you say, the players coming in, they also played really well. Yeah, there was a couple of issues going on, but I mean, overall, I wasn't. I was disappointed because we lost the game. I wasn't that disappointed with the performance, especially sort of the certain man we'll come to later. I think we did all right considering, and I think it was a 4-1 game because the XG tells us that it was a 4-1 game, but almost it wasn't a 4-1 game. If you know what I mean, it's really quite bizarre.
Yeah, it could have. We had opportunities. We obviously should and really have gone in at 1-1 at half time, which would have changed the complexion of the game. We probably should have got it back to 2-2. Missing those key chances, and then once it got to 4-1, it was almost like this could be anything, and it was almost good that we managed to keep them out, to keep it to 4-1, if you like. So there were so many phases in that game where it was within that 90 minutes, it felt like an absolute lifetime. But there were opportunities that we had to get back into the game, but there were also opportunities that we kind of survived, that we did well to not get beat by such a large scoreline.
Yeah, I think even if we'd have got it back to 2-2, we'd have lost the game 5-2, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
kind
We'd
of
have
one of
just
them
got them
things.
angry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of one of them things. But listen, we move on, don't we?
Exactly. So we've got our usual viz. Let's get straight into it. In terms of passing networks, obviously we're seeing some different names here. Robin Olsen went in goal. Clement Longley at the back as well. Eric Bunham, Zaniolo, Duran, Rogers. So a much changed team. But is there anything that we're noticing specifically here? Any different to normal?
I think the shape is good on average. I've got to say that. I think the two sort of the 2 6 and the 2 8s in Zaniolo, Louisa, Ogbenham, and Diaby. Sort of, you can see that they're those two, the Diaby and the Ogbenham, and the pairing of Louisa and Zaniolo. They're covering off those sorts of half space areas, if you like, that Manchester City like to play in. And Ogbenham obviously dropped into the back four a lot of the time, which was interesting to see. I think overall the shape and everything was pretty good. I've got to say, I think Rogers did his bit. I think Duran did his bit. I think the passing just from, just that is what you get with Man City. You see a lot of passing around at the back from opposition teams. And we saw the same with us.
Yeah. Like you say, it was a good shape. You could see what we were trying to do, and
Yeah.
some of your illustrations later will show that. Expected threat. Interesting, Douglas Luiz topping that chart. And then you've got obviously Man City dominating it. But yeah, anything else to take note of there?
No, Douglas Luiz again, mostly from set pieces, as we saw,
Yeah,
I think, previously in another game, didn't we? We saw a lot of that, so which is still good to see. It's still, at the Etihad, swinging in those corners, and we did look a little bit of a threat at set pieces of corners at times. Could we have done a little bit better with them, with the height and everything? Yeah, probably, because I think that's how you can probably get at Man City a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, isn't it?
yeah, it is. Rodri up there as well, and you think a defensive midfielder for what he offers, it's incredible, really. That
Yeah,
he's what a player he is.
Yeah, you're looking at sort of teams, especially like Man City, when you're playing teams like, especially with like Jack Grealish, your Phil Foden's, your Rodri, they're playing in a lot higher up the pitch a lot of the time. So their XT in a game is usually going to be quite high because they're playing it into sort of key vital areas. So that's probably the reasoning
Yeah,
behind that.
yeah, yeah. And then I guess the passes locations, a couple of corners there for Villa, but not much in terms of threatening actions. And then you can see the difference in Man City, where they're coming at you from all angles.
Yeah, I mean, what I did take from this was interesting. I think those sort of two passes, or the higher passes, are out to Zaniolo and out to Diaby, aren't they, on that right
Mm,
hand side more than likely on the counter. So
yeah,
that's quite an interesting thing to look at. But yeah, on that left hand side for Jack especially, you can see a lot of activity in and around there. And look how many passes into the box, which is incredible.
yeah. Would you have thought, had we played, I guess, the first choice players that we had available? So let's say in a parallel world, you've got Watkins fit, you've got Martinez not ill, you've got Torres playing, Tielemans maybe in there, McGinn maybe in there. Would you have expected us to be more attacking, in terms of the way that we'd approached the game? Or do you think we'd have just done the same and sat in, but maybe have been a bit more threatening on the break?
Yeah, I don't think they'd have been more attacking, but I think they might have been more ambitious. Is probably the word that I would use. They would sort of be a bit more. I think we were confident on the ball, Rich, didn't you? I thought the players looked
Yeah.
really confident. You can see what they're trying to do. Certain players, yeah. I think with Man City, especially when you're looking to play, you're looking to retain or you're looking to go in behind. And I think Watkins and Duran would have worked really well in this game because one in behind that really give Man City, especially when they push that centre back into midfield. What do they then want to do? Because they've got to mark two. I still think Duran should have played 10 yards higher. I think he should have been that focal point. I think he should have been that out ball. Yeah, more ambitious probably would have been the word that I'd have used.
Yeah, yeah. I think Emery said it right. He tried to confuse them a little bit and maybe surprise them with some of the players that were playing. Maybe they wouldn't have seen much of Rogers or too much of Zaniolo, so it might have caught them unawares. But then you think, well, if you'd have had Watkins and McGinn available, they would have been a little bit more wary of what we could have done to them. Whereas, they just kind of went for it and thought, well, we'll score more than them anyway. So yeah, like you say, it would have been interesting to see. Quick look at the XG and the shot map. I mean, that is just peppering, isn't it? And Olsen did well. To be fair to him.
Yeah, he did. I mean, and this is what we say when we say this probably was a 4-1 game because it's a 3.9 XG. So their shots were an equation to at least 4 goals, we would say. And ours is just above one for the 1 goal. So, it's fair. It looks, it's not a lucky result by any chance, it's not an unlucky result for anyone. That is the game state. And this is why we use metrics like XG, and perfect example really for that. But yeah, they just peppered us. But like you say, we feared the worst when Martinez was a late call to be ill, but I think Olsen done really well, and especially well with his feet as well.
Yeah, he did. He did. Um, then the timeline. I mean, yeah, anything to be taken home on written home about on this in terms
I,
of like insights.
I think the last 2 goals are the game killer, aren't they?
Mm,
They're at the right times at 60, just our 65 minutes. They are the 2 killer goals, really. I think, although we haven't created that much by the looks of it, you've got to be really lucky, as in Palace, sort of at times to try and get a result, at least a draw at the Etihad, because that's basically what you're going there for. You're going to trying to get a draw, aren't you? Unless you're
yeah.
an Arsenal or a Liverpool. But
Well,
yeah,
even Arsenal went for a draw, didn't they? So
exactly. But for me, those last two, the third Foden goal especially, was when our heads dropped a little bit, I think, and then we opened up a bit more, and that was the fourth one was the killer goal.
yeah, I mean, he was waiting to make the subs, wasn't he, at that point,
Yeah,
like just before? And you think, right, Bailey and Tielemans coming on when you're 2-1 down is a lot different to Bailey and Tielemans and Chambers coming on when you're 3-1 down. Like, it would have been a different game. It would have been right now. There's something to think about. However, on the flip side, they would have probably gone with Haaland and De Bruyne instead of Bop and Sergio Romero. I can't remember what his last name is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we had the right idea, playing on quickly in the transitions and going forward quickly with Duran and Zaniolo. I think that was the right thing to do. I think the personnel could have been different in Watkins. I mean, Zaniolo did a cracking job, but I think that was the idea was right.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have a look then at some of the analysis that you did, because really insightful. I've had a look already. So yeah, just in terms of the first slide, reserved build up for us. So yeah, what did you mean by that in terms of the reserved build up?
Yeah, normally against sort of lesser teams, let's say, we would build up with a back three. So we would see Daniel wouldn't even be in this frame, would he? He would be on the
No.
halfway line, probably
Yeah.
past it, and Conser and that, and cause the back three would have moved across a little bit more. But I think we were a little bit more reserved. I think we wanted to keep numbers back just in case that they came at us or they turned the ball over high, which Man City like to do. But they kind of got it right on us as well, Man City. We can't knock that. And you're not looking at Aubameyang to really build up and start attacks. You're looking at Dougie to do that. But in midfield, you're against Man City. You're stifled.
Yeah. It's where it's difficult when you play young players, and I think you're going to focus in a bit on Tim, but they're all, you can see the senior players almost in having like that split second thought of as to whether to give them the ball in certain positions, and they've almost got to like ease their way into the game so that the other players trust them with the ball. But what that does on the flip side is it means that Douglas Luiz is the main person, so they just put a player on him, and it means that we get isolated in terms of who we have to pass the ball to. Whereas if you had a Kamara in there, or if you had even a Tielemans, you could play to both, and then it just leaves that bit more doubt in the opposition's mind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Man City don't like to play with width when they don't have the ball, so they're nice and compact and narrow when they're out of possession. And I think that's sort of the area you've sort of got to exploit. But as I said before, for me, the idea was right. Playing on the counter like that, I think that was the right. I think this is the right thing to do against Manchester City. I think your first point about giving Aubameyang the ball, I think that's probably right. I don't think it's fair to make him. I mean, it's a massive game, Rich, for him to
Yeah.
come in and have to do that. It is massive, and I think he did quite well.
Yeah, he did. And you got him here like with in terms of the positioning, and you could see him dropping into maybe that extra centre back at times. I guess that's what you meaning by this.
Yeah, we talked to you earlier on in the season, didn't we, about players like Zaniolo maybe not getting and Diaby may not getting the ideas of Emery quickly enough to try and sort of get, sort of be able to cope in the side, but they've come better now, admittedly. I think he likes Tim. I think he gets it. I think he understands. He's a technically good player. He's got a good football brain, and I think he takes on instructions really well. And I saw instructions being given to him during the game, and he sort of carried them out from what I could see. But yeah, dropping into this back four, and it's really clever because he doesn't need to be pushed up. He's just adding an extra man to that back line in case that ball gets whipped across. But he can also come out and take Bernardo Silva, or I can't quite see for the screen whoever that is. But that's
Yeah,
right. That I think
yeah,
that's it. He is a DM for me, Irogbenam. I think he is a DM.
yeah. And he's also quite, once he gets that confidence up, he's quite quick across the ground. So if we were to pick up the ball in these areas, admittedly maybe against a lesser opposition, then he might be able to start driving forwards with it a little bit, or playing a little pass into one of the other midfielders. Like, you can see him kind of intercepting and moving across the ground quite quickly. So
Yeah.
you said about his footballing brain, that's something that he can obviously integrate into his game as well.
Yeah, essentially, you're right. Essentially, in this game, in this side, his position, he was fulfilling the Boubacar Kamara role.
Yeah,
That is what he was doing. They would play like Booba, do what he does, and let Dougie sort of, Dougie's not the greatest defensive-minded player, but he's there. He's a good midfielder. We're not saying he's not, but Irogbenam is fulfilling that Kamara role in this side, in this game.
yeah, yeah. Well, look, hopefully we start. I think he's done himself, uh, you know, no harm in terms of being trusted. No bigger stage to do it on against Man City. So I'd expect to see him a little bit more as the season, comes to a close. And we're talking about Rodgers as well. He's gaining that confidence. He's gaining that trust. And then another player like you've just mentioned there in terms of Zaniolo, he's starting to get more kind of used to the system and having a bit more impact. And you wanted to focus on him quite a bit, both out of possession and in possession.
Yeah, I thought his performance was much improved both in both phases of the game, and it brought it to my mind quite a lot. And I ended up watching him quite a lot, both in and out of possession, and seeing what he was doing, the look on his face for me, he seemed to get it almost. I don't know how to quite put that, but he seemed to sort of get it. He seemed to get his role really well, and here we can see that he's dropping just in between. Don't forget he's a wider left midfielder here of the four, so he's coming inside. He understands that Dina is going to be marking Doku. It is Aniolo's job to mark that half space area. He's not marking a man; he's marking the area, and we can see that over the other side, Diaby's trying to do the same thing. And when we shifted across and everything, I thought the shape was really good out of possession, Rich. I got to say.
Yeah, yeah, and then this bit in possession. This is right early on in the game, and you see where he is here.
This was straight away when it's after we can see it's after 31 seconds, and I think this set the tone. Really think this set the tone for it gave him the confidence to really go. But like I say, it set the tone for us to go forward a little bit more. And I think he understands that this is his role, this is the run he's going to be making, and he made this run countless times. By the way, it wasn't just once or twice; it was quite a few times. He is the outlet rather than having to go central, and I think he performed it really well.
Yeah, yeah, he did, and he got a good crossing on that point as well. And then again, out of possession here, um, doing a couple of jobs or covering two men. You're trying to point out here.
Yeah, this was another sort of situation where I think this is just before the third slide I showed. And he's not sort of trapping on one man. He's able to he's blocking the passing lane, by the way. He can
Hmm.
that ball can't go to Doku now, and he can press one of Rodri or he can press a Kanji. And you've got Duran on the other side, Duran in the centre there, and you've also got Diaby up the top. Again, the shape from them three is good. That's what they're there to do. It allows the defence to push up that little bit more. I think he just worked tirelessly, both, especially out of possession.
Yeah, I tell you what else was good in terms of, and you can almost see a slight profile change in attackers that we bring in for obviously Bailey and Diaby are one type, but you've got Zaniolo, Rogers, Duran, like tall, fast, rangy, strong. You know, a threat in the box. Hopefully, that kind of like thing that maybe Villa have been lacking a little bit in terms of 6 foot plus can get across the ground. Obviously, Irugbonomi likes him as well. He's got that profile about him. You
Yeah.
can see that maybe coming through, maybe something that he's trying to integrate into the team.
Yeah, I think what you're looking at as well, like he's in the profile of JJ almost, isn't he? Where
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
ball carriers. You want them to carry the ball up the pitch, and you want them, as you say, rightly say, to have the strength to hold that ball up and then wait for others to catch up with them. And you're right. The
Yeah.
profile is right. That's right.
Yeah. And then the final one, um, looking at him and the transition, and I think that's highlighting that Rogers with the ball here. Look how quickly he can cover the ground, and then you've got the Chaos Brothers, as everyone wants to call them, Zaniolo and Duran. Like I say, potentially causing havoc, or hopefully. And you think if that could do that against a team like Man City, then what could it do against, with all due respect, a team like Brentford or
Mm.
Crystal Palace or someone like that who we're coming up against in the future?
Yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it? Because City are quite open. They want to press high. So these
Yeah,
opportunities arise against a team like Brentford playing a back five. They probably won't because they'll sit off
yeah,
a little
true,
bit deeper. So
true.
the ball carriers are kind of like a bit sort of not quite there. But yeah, I mean, for me, there were countless opportunities on the counter attack. It was just that one ball or that one moment you're holding on for it for too long. These are opportunities here. I think this was actually the goal, Rich. I think this was
Yes,
actually
it was. Yeah,
the
yeah.
1-1 goal. So, you know, these opportunities kept arising time and time again.
Yeah, yeah, no, but it's exciting. It's exciting to
Yeah.
think, and I'm sure a lot of those players would have been, really encouraged about what they did and how they did it. Yes, they'll be disappointed in the result. No one's saying otherwise, but like, Rogers playing in that game, Eric Bonham playing in that game, Zaniolo, Duran scoring in that game. Like they would have taken Kellyman coming on. They would have taken a lot of positives from playing in that and competing. You know what it's like as a young player to play on that stage and to not do yourself, not embarrass yourself almost. It gives you a lot of confidence going into other games.
Yeah, you can't say that anybody embarrassed themselves, did they? They
Yeah.
all played, within themselves. They played well. And I think, especially, I think it was kind of an experiment. I don't think that's the word we should probably use, but I think that's probably what it was. Look, this is what we're expecting a certain result, but let's see what we can do. Let's, on the bonus side, let's give these players a little bit more experience. And none of them, especially Tim, Morgan Rogers, I thought improved again. So that's important.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, using your word, experiment on Wednesday, obviously after the victory against Wolves, which was a long time coming, and again a tough game that you have to take into consideration as well. 3 games in a week. I'm sure Emery would have had it in his mind to think, right, okay, we'll settle for, we'll try and get whatever we can out of the Man City game, but really targeting 3 points against Brentford. What are you expecting, personnel wise and kind of, I guess, tactic wise against Brentford, and
Yeah,
response wise from the team?
Yeah, it'd be tricky because Brentford always play with the back five, usually away from home, especially. So that's going to be a tricky thing. And we have had issues like that playing against back fives, haven't we, before? So
Mm.
again, I mean, I think Power will come back in. Obviously, Emmy should be fit. I'm not sure about Ollie. Do we know if he's fit or not? I don't think he is he?
At current time, I think Emery's doing his press conference very soon, or may have just be in the middle of it. So I'll try and get any news hot off the press.
Yeah, I mean, so there you go. But I think Power will come back in. I would imagine Leon will come back in as well. On that, I don't think Moose will start again. I think he'll probably play Leon Bailey there, but yeah, Watkins and Tielemans to come back in, of course, and Jenny obviously back as well. I think.
Yes, yes, yes. Would you suggest maybe a rest in for Douglas Luiz, or do you think, right, he just goes for it? Maybe he's been a little bit fatigued. There's this yellow card situation hanging over his head, or do you think, no, let's just go for it?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Who does he put in there? I mean, does he put Tielemans back in there instead of Douglas Luiz? Possibly, yeah, because he's after today. Obviously, they're wiped. So if he doesn't get booked on Saturday, we're good. I think he'll see how it goes. I think he'll see how it goes. I think he might. I think he will start with Doug in. I think if we can get an early lead, maybe 2-0 up at half time, might well take him off. And Brentford aren't a great side. They're not in great form at all. I'm expecting nothing more than a win.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think we'll get a response. Like I say, I think a lot of players will take a decent bit of heart from that performance, not the result. And I think that they'll go for it and just get the game won. With Tottenham playing on Sunday as well, put a bit of pressure on them. With Man United, obviously the chaos that's going on there, we can really put 14 points. I think it would be ahead of us, ahead of Man United in sixth place, which would almost kind of put them out of it and maybe mean that a Newcastle or a West Ham become the team that maybe puts a run together. But yeah, it would almost kind of puts fifth place to bed almost, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think Man United. I mean, I would say I'd like to play Man United right now, but we all know what would happen if we did play Man
We
United
know
right
what
now.
would happen. Yeah, we know
Yeah, so
exactly what would.
I think they're done. I think they're done after yesterday. I think if they would have won yesterday, I think they might have gained a bit of momentum. But they're so hit and miss. I think it's between us and Spurs for the fourth and fifth. Now, I don't see anybody. We've got to really have a massive sort of collapse, haven't we?
Yeah.
And Tottenham have got some difficult fixtures. So, yeah, fourth or fifth, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, Gareth, it's been fantastic having you back on the show. So many people say it's their favourite show, as I say. Where can everyone find you on X, as it is now?
Yeah, you can find me at Analytics GC or at that Garage AJC, whichever one you like.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, guys, we will be back hopefully talking about a victory after Brentford on Saturday. I will try and fit in a match preview at some point, so don't miss out on that. Also, do instant reaction tomorrow after the game as well, and then full match reaction probably Sunday night. So, plenty of action on the channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.